largest economy in the world, every day with 2/3 of its energy sourced from clean energy. We have, over the course of this calendar year, 9 out of 10 days run at a portion of the day at 100% clean energy. And that's because of our very intentional policies that are nation leading, including our Cap and Invest program that we just extended to 2045. So I point that as an aspect of contrast to what's going on in Washington, D.C. I don't want that to shape your perception of my country. We also recognize that climate risk is also financial risk. And increasingly, we are struggling as a nation with home building and access to mortgages because of the insurance crisis that has been induced and exacerbated because of climate change. I say that to reinforce the economic imperative to address from a cost of living perspective the importance of changing the way we produce and consume energy. Final point. I'm not naive about our biggest competitor in the United States of America. And I say this not with a closed fist, but my eyes wide open. As an American, I respect and admire what China is doing at scale as it relates to supply chains and manufacturing. And the United States of America better wake up to that. Our legacy automobile manufacturers better wake up to that. This is not about electric power. This is about economic power. And we in the state of California are not going to cede that race to China. We're going to compete in that market. And I think one of the great abdications, final point, is the own goal of a President of the United States who simply doesn't understand how enthusiastic President Xi is today that the Trump administration is nowhere to be found at COP30 today.
Thank you. We'll continue to take a few questions from the media. If you're interested, please raise your hand. Go over to the gentleman over there.
Oh, yes.
Thank you. James Fahn from Internews' Earth Journalism Network and the Climate Change Media Partnership. I'm also from California, Governor Newsom, and our state, here we go, right here.
There you go.
Yeah. Our state is home to social media firms and AI companies that, of course, power our economy, but they're also spreading climate disinformation and causing a surge in electricity demand. What do you think we should do, if anything, about that?
Well, as you know, we're the first state in the country to regulate AI enterprises. We've led the nation as it relates to truth and trust policies, as it relates to social media companies. We can do a lot more. I'm not naive about that. We're also home to 32 of the top 50 AI companies in the world, so we're not naive about the impacts, particularly from a consumption perspective, not just electricity, energy broadly defined, but also water. And we also recognize our responsibility to continue our nation-leading innovation, not just in these technologies, but in new technologies like fusion, new technologies like modern nuclear, and looking at those kinds of investments that are happening disproportionately, the research and development in those spaces, disproportionately in my own home state. So that's the way we approach these things. We're not naive about the world we're inventing, and not naive about the impacts of that world, not just in our state, but globally as well.
Thank you. We'll take a couple more questions. We are a bit short on time. We go over to, sorry. Oh, excuse me. The Minister of Cities will have to go back to his meeting, and thanks for joining us today. Thank you. We go over there to the second row, please. The lady in white. Second row, third, fourth from the left.
Governor Somini Sengupta from the New York Times. You have said a couple of times that you want to reframe climate action as an economic issue. How should Democrats in the United States be talking about climate change? Because when they tried to talk about climate change in the last presidential election, it was one of the issues, among others, that did not seem to resonate with voters.
Well, that's why I said it's not about electric power, it's about economic power. I think we have to reframe it as a cost of living issue. And we've seen the estimates from the New York Times, among others, reported the estimates of Donald Trump's attack and assault on Joe Biden's policies as it relates to his low-carbon green growth initiatives will cost the average ratepayer 10% more in bills this calendar year. That's a kitchen table issue. That's a cost of living issue. It's about people. It's about places. It's about lifestyles. It's about traditions. I think we have to use different language. I've said this before with respect to the global audience. The vast majority of my audience doesn't know what Celsius is. You talk in 1.5 degrees Celsius, how many more degrees is that Fahrenheit? We talk about greenhouse gas emissions. Where are they? Do they float in the sky or where do they land? We don't understand. We have to use better metaphors. We have to change our language. We have to talk in terms of that people understand, a pollution bucket. We have to talk in terms that I think can unite people and not look at this in the abstract. And so I think we have some work to do as a party, as a nation, and that progress we're trying to make and promote here at COP.
Thank you. We'll go over to the gentleman in the front here.
Governor Newsom, we see between these U.S. administrations a climate action whiplash. How can the United States move beyond that and to the point where the basic direction of travel on fundamental issues like moving away from fossil fuels becomes a nonpartisan issue?
Let me give you a proof point. In Trump's first administration, 4 years, he doubled solar production. We reduced coal use and greenhouse gases were reduced despite his policies. The market is moving in this direction. States are moving in this direction. I happen to be co-chair of 4 different partnerships in the United States of America. I just left America All In Partnership, a bipartisan leadership group of subnational and local, particularly state and local leaders. I'm the co-chair of the U.S. Climate Alliance, 24 governors. We're part of initiatives, our clean car initiatives as it relates to zero-emission vehicles, of which roughly a third of our new car purchases were zero-emission vehicles. Our Pacific Coast Collaborative. States are partnering despite the headwinds in Washington, D.C. So I think it's incredibly important not to look at the prism of the United States through one lens, federal, but federalism, states, local government, 10th Amendment of the Constitution of the United States. The federal vision is realized at the local level, and remarkable things continue to happen all across the United States in cities large and small, and states large and small.
And if the mayor of Malmö wants to share some comments?
Okay, then I would like to underline that what Governor just said about creating a new language. I really think it's important to talk in a way that builds trust. And I think in the case of my city, we started to transform the city due to the industrial crisis. And today I would say that we have a strong support from our citizens since they saw the change with a strong focus on the green transition created lots of new green jobs. We had a very problematic situation with problems due to the industrial crisis.